Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Ian Saturday Night. It's been a while since I've podcasted with you guys, if this is a podcast. Actually, it's a YouTube vlog. I don't know what you call it. I know it's low tech. And when I started this project about a year ago, it wasn't really important to me to have high-tech lighting or any high production like that, because I think you get a certain energy from being spontaneous, and that's what I wanted to capture. Because when I move through life, I realize that I have a lot of accidents going on with me, with my body through space, and the way I move, and my jerky movements my muscles make, combined with the excess saliva in my mouth, which comes from having cerebral palsy. So I realized that I can't control much of anything. So I have a love for spontaneity. And I realized when I talk, my face tenses up. I don't really mean to have that response, but my body reacts to things that I don't have control over. I don't mean to say that I can't be mindful from a Buddhist perspective, but I find a lot of things happen to me that I can't control, least of all relationships, which most of you know from watching my vlog about the problems that I've had with my relationship over the past 2 years. Rather than rehash it, I'm going to say that it's quite a emotional adventure, and I don't really quite know what to say about it that I haven't already said. I go about it quite with length, but the bottom line is, I think I shared a lot with her. Maybe not with time actually spent, but with experiences shared. So basically, I popped the question, and I gave her an engagement ring, and she said yes. But then later on, she blew up at me during something beyond my control over a missed flight and a delay in going back home, and she completely went ballistic at me. And at that point, the energy went out of the relationship about 85%. So basically the engagement, such as it was, went kaput, and I haven't seen her in 3.5 years. So basically, it's been a process. It's been a process for me. Basically, I've come to the conclusion, and it took me a while. But I come to the conclusion that I loved her sincerely. However, by her action of not seeing me for 3.5 years or not communicating much, basically the message I get loud and clear is she's just not that into me, and my relationship didn't mean a whole lot. It kind of makes me laugh because I say it in a matter-of-fact way, but I mean, I have to be honest and say that despite my best efforts, to her, by her very action, I must not have meant a whole heck of a lot to her. I didn't mean that much to her at all, basically. And I carry a lot of pain for saying that, and maybe that's even a little too harsh if you know the parties, if you know both of us in perspective. but basically, by her very action of not seeing me, for 3.5 years, that's the only conclusion that I can make. Is that she has a lot of sadness and distrust in her heart, and my love wasn't enough to carry her over the gulf of her feelings. To be honest, I always have the feeling that she didn't trust me very much. At the beginning, she trusted me a lot, but then, by the very accumulation of time, she grew with self-doubt, and in regard to me, and I can't. It's almost like something supernatural happened. I can't really explain it or put my finger on it, but gradually, somehow we grew apart, and I didn't really mean that much to her. Basically, if she could blow up at me that easily, and I mean, it was a missed flight. It was a delayed, not a missed flight, a delayed flight over weather, and she completely blew up at me, and I'm flabbergasted, which many of you know. So after 3.5 years, I can say that, I mean, it might seem like a long time to you guys who know me from this blog, but after 3.5 years, I can finally say I've started to move on. And I know in my heart, something tells me that we probably won't see each other again, and I have to accept that, very much so. It's painful for me, and to broadcast it, it doesn't feel painful to say it now, but then when I turn the camera off on this blog, I'm probably going to get sad, because it's a very hard realization to try and put passion into something and get nothing in return. Basically, that's how it felt. And with each date, actually, to be honest, maybe I've said this before, you'll have to forgive me if I repeat it, but basically, I feel like with every date we've had, I felt like it was the end. Because from the very first date, she mentioned being close to somebody. So when she said that on the first date, it kind of was always in the back of my mind. Maybe it's unfair for me to think that, but maybe that's true. She mentioned being close to somebody on her first date with me, and although I think it's great that she was so forthcoming. She made it sound like if she mentioned that if things go wrong, that they would be together. So it makes me wonder, maybe she wanted that all along. I don't know. But definitely Mexico, she, in many ways, even though I'll say I had a 75% great time, instead of the last 25% was a whammy, and I started to feel like a third wheel. Granted, she has a lot on her plate with 2 kids, but I started to feel like I was a third wheel, especially since I was helping her with her courses. So I didn't feel so good. So, and I can tell from what she told me that she wasn't feeling good about me either. So I guess it works for both of us. It wasn't working for both of us, I guess. Because she also made me feel that she wasn't happy with me. for whatever reason. Maybe I get a little overbearing. Maybe I get needy. I've told you guys that I'm a codependent person, and I know that about myself. So I have to be honest and be honest about that. That for whatever reason, I don't know if I'm a total codependent person, but I have codependent feelings definitely inside me for whatever reason. So I have to be honest. Otherwise, on a professional level, I wrote a play and I sent it to a couple people, and I've gotten no response yet, but I don't want to be, I like to do something. I like to do something and let it go. I'm not one to say, here, I did this, it's got to be good. You've got to see it, or you've got to read it. I realize that I'm not so good with promoting myself. I just get involved with something and I let it go in terms of writing and painting. So maybe my brain needs to be rewired for that, but I'm not sure that's possible. But I'm not a very good business person with self-promotion. So that's a thing that I struggle with. Doing something and maybe it doesn't get returned in the way that I feel it should, or whatever. But I'm also interested in the paranormal, which some of you know. I've been thinking a lot about ghosts and what happens when we pass away. The jury's still out on that. Sometimes I think that we go off into a definite afterlife of some sort. I don't know what that is, but because of all the people we know and all the people we've touched, we go back to that place. And other times I feel like when it comes time to leave the stage of life, you pull the plug and the battery goes out, and it's just like a unplugged battery, and it's just darkness. So I have two moods. The first mood, I feel like there's a definite afterlife. And the second mood, sometimes, I feel like it's just a battery going off, a switch going off, and it's just darkness. And it's 50-50 on that. It's 50-50, depending on how you guys feel. But those are my two options. Either there is something wonderful that carries on, and I like to think that. On the other hand, it's possible that, it's just a switch that goes off, and we go back to where we were before we were born, and kind of the possibility of nothingness, if that makes sense. So I have two possibilities in my mind, and I probably can't control the outcome of those possibilities. I can just try to be the best person that I know how to be. I'm not perfect by any means. A lot of people think that I'm always in a good mood. I can tell you nothing is further from the truth. I get depressed like everyone else. That I can tell you. I have good days and bad days. So, but I definitely know what it's like to be alone. I definitely know what it's like to be alone and not to have a romantic interest more than I've ever had a romantic interest. So, I know loneliness very well. Maybe I bear the brunt. I bear the brunt of responsibility for that, perhaps, because I have been labeled as a passive kind of person, but I'm not passive by any stretch of the imagination, because I know myself to be a very passionate, romantic person. My last relationship, as it was, I felt like I pushed myself to the brink. I tried to be understanding. My family was involved, and I was involved with Joaquin on the other end, even though she was far away from me. I felt pressure on both sides. I did feel pressure on both sides, and I have to be honest and say that. I mean, I think both parties were trying to express their truth and their love for me in different ways, but I bear the pain, and Joaquin bears the pain also of not having it work out. So I feel like I was pushed to the brink. It's no dramatic stretch when I say I feel like I was pushed to the brink of humanity by the very passion of the situation, and I almost didn't return. I almost lost my equilibrium, to be honest. And I said last week that my friend Jim Savio thinks that I'm carrying around some trauma. That could very well be, but I sleep okay, and I'm a highly creative, highly energetic and visual person, so it's coming out, and all that I've experienced is coming out mostly in words, and it's coming out in my stories, and I don't know if that's good or bad, but that seems to be what's happening. I realize that I'm looking at my face, and I notice I have some discoloration. Maybe it's come because of, I don't know, allergies or something. But I'm not a vain person. It's just something that I've noticed that I didn't notice before. But Key West is like the Wild West to some degree. And Key West is very tropical. It's very charming, but you have some limitations to deal with, mostly in culture and variety of space, because we're an island, so we don't have museums and an exchange of culture. Although there are artists and painters and writers here, mostly writers is a big part of Key West. So everything seems to have its own harmony. I just feel very strange about the 21st century in general and the climate of things, but we all carry on, and we all have to express ourselves to the best we can and to be good people while we're doing it. Okay, everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Madcap Mr. Rogers. That is my blog, a Madcap Mr. Rogers. Okay, everyone, I'll see you next week.